Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you for rocking with us. You continue rocking with us. We will continue to roll with you. We've been doing a whole lot tonight, man. We had a lot of show. Of course, in the first segment, we had our brand new sister, our sister Mara Winters, talked about the 5 things of fitness we need to talk about. So we were happy that we did that. And then the last segment, we had our returning sister, big sis, S.Y. Butler, talk to us about sciatica. She's going to be joining us on every single third Monday of the month. And so we look forward to that. Later on in the show, we will have the number one true fighter, Warren Ballantyne's going to talk to us. In that segment, I'm sure that I can get him to talk to us about the Jeff Sessions thing that came up last week, where he wants everybody who is getting arrested to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. We also will have a conversation about health care. If it is it a right or is it a privilege? And we're also going to talk about HBCUs. And there is a initiative that the True Fighters and Warren and I are going to be kind of introducing to you guys, that we're going to be talking about with HBCUs in a podcast that Warren and I are going to be working on together. So I look forward to bringing that to you in the next segment. So hang in there. The very next segment, we'll be talking to the number one true fighter in America, our brother Warren Ballantyne. But right now, we will be kind of moving on. And we haven't had an opportunity tonight to ask the question that we try to ask every single week on the show. That's when we cock our head to the side and we look at the first person who's bugging and we say, what do we say, Jay Grizzly? What do we say?
Man, what the hell?
What the hell? What the hell? Mara, what the hell's going on in Charlottesville? Tony, what the hell is going on in Charlottesville? That's why.
Huh?
What in the entire hell?
You sound like Minnie Pearl just
is going on?
Sound like
in Charlottesville. Now,
I don't know.
I heard what's going on in Charlottesville, and I've been getting Charlottesville for those folks who are like Trayvon on the other side of the world, where it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You may not know where Charlottesville is. For those folks in New Jersey who are rocking with us right now, who may not know where Charlottesville is. For those folks on the West Coast who don't know where Charlottesville is. Charlottesville is here in Virginia. It's about an hour west of here. If you've ever heard of the University of Virginia, the University of Virginia is in Charlottesville. That's where Charlottesville is. Now, I heard a story from all over the web, and I wanted to make sure that I got this article, even though I've heard it from all over the web and all of the news stations and their websites, they all have it. But I wanted to get this from someplace that wouldn't be in their feelings if I read it. So I got this shit from Fox News. So I don't have to play with them because I ain't for the bullshit tonight, right?
That's what we talking about. Let's get it.
We did all the fun stuff in the first hour and a half of the show. Now it's time to cut the bullshit and just have a little cut loose moment.
Okay.
Charlottesville protests. This is the headline, y'all. The Charlottesville protests, where torch-wielding groups rally against Virginia Confederate statue removal. Translation, they mad they took down a statue, man. Yeah. Torch-wielding group, including a prominent white nationalist, protested Saturday night against plans to remove a Confederate monument in the hometown of the University of Virginia. Local media outlets reported that the group rallied around the statue of General Robert E. Lee in Charlottesville, chanting, quote, "You will not replace us. Russia is our friend, blood and soil," end quote. The protesters included Richard Spencer, who is a white nationalist who popularized the phrase alt-right and has advocated for an ethno-state that would be a safe place for white people. Quote, "We will not be replaced from this park." That's what Spencer told a crowd at a different rally held hours early in Charlottesville on Saturday. Continuing, "We will not be replaced from this world. Whites have a future. We have a future of power, of beauty, of expression." Now, the Charlottesville mayor, Mike Signer, said in a statement that Saturday's protest was either, quote, profoundly ignorant or meant to instill fear in minorities, quote, in a way that harkens back to the days of the KKK. I want everybody to know this. We reject this intimidation. This is what the mayor said in a statement. We are a welcoming city, but such intolerance is not welcome here. I think I said enough. There's more here. If we get to it, then we get to it. But for now, I think we have laid it out appropriately. I'm going to let the ladies jump in before I tear these crazy-ass people up, Grizz. You going to go right before me. I'm going to start with the returning Fave SY. What you think, man?
Oh, they just need to stop that bullshit.
These white folk out here crazy out here. And
they just need to stop.
They mad that they taking down the statue of Robert E. Lee.
Take it down. And I just hope that whoever that dimwit is, he found his way to Legacy Internet Radio, because motherfreaker, that name is across the bridge near where I live. I can't wait for them to change that shit, and I will hold it up and look at you and go, stop being an ass.
Did you really go?
Why are you going to get mad?
Motherfreaker.
I couldn't say what I wanted to say.
You can't.
She saved it to let me say it.
You know, stop being stupid, y'all. Come on. Now, if it was something that had to do, that was just, you know, maybe there was a statue of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King there, you wouldn't be so upset if it was coming down. You know what I say? They should let us take down the Robert E. Lee statue, because I can go get a mallet or something and start hammering away. So you know what? Cut the bullshit. It's down. You know, take the pitchfork, stick it up your ass. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Replace you? I wish we could.
Ain't no hashtag Mars J.
I
know I be feisty with my tongue. I know I be feisty with my tongue. But you just set up the ass. Like really, you just got a little crazy.
Sit and spin on your pitchfork. Who the hell cares?
So,
ouch,
Miss Tony. I know that you're usually reserved on the show, and sometimes you go in, and sometimes you don't. Not really sure where you're going tonight.
Just went downtown
but
Abbey
I'd
on
like
us.
to know if you're going to go in or be conservative.
That's your
tonight.
British accent, bro?
No, that's my pick on Tony accent.
I am not conservative. First of all, this is almost
Whenever a black woman starts with first of all, it's about to go down.
Right. That's right.
It's almost laughable.
Yep.
It's a freaking statue. Nobody said anything about the big Confederate flag that's up on 95 in Chester. Anybody say anything about that? Y'all know what I'm talking about?
That's next.
I know exactly what you're talking
There's
about.
a big old flag on 95. Been waving for I don't know how long. It's a statue. Who said anything about, so we taking the statue down and all the white people got to go away too?
No more white people.
What are we're going to build a wall in Charlottesville?
I see
for all
black
white people now that they're going to have to pay for? That's what it is. I got it. Yep. So they taking down the statue. They're going to replace the statue with a wall.
Oh.
And all the white people have to be on the white side of the wall.
Oh.
And
you think they need a green
people.
card to come on the other side? Or can they even get on the other side? They might not even be permitted to come on the other side.
Wow.
I don't know.
What in the hell?
Blue hell.
And the fact that UVA, which is a very diverse university, is there in Charlottesville and keeps that town a-running. I cannot believe that. Yes, a-running.
Yep, you see that orange.
Has law school there. Has law school there.
This is officially a Tony go-in moment.
Like, I just can't believe the ignorance, but big up to that mayor for standing up
I met him once.
to those white people, and I hope that they let him stay white.
Hope they let him stay white.
Wow.
I would drop the mic, but I don't want to break it.
Yeah, please don't break my shit. But you can symbolically break it. Let the folks on Facebook Live symbolically see you drop the mic.
like
Symbolically drop it. And then put your hand on the table. There you go. There you go. Ain't no hashtag Marks J. Mara, we set it up. What you think about these folks acting crazy in Charlottesville?
Well, here's the thing. You have to, the thing about finding common ground is to look at both sides. So they're having their statue come down. And right now, our social norms are being challenged right now than ever before. The fact that we're even taking down the statues now Let's listen up, black people. We didn't think that was going to happen. They're doing it now. Why are we shocked that they're going to protest against it? I'm not shocked. I was like, I'm wondering if they're going to do it right here in our VA, because that's going to be a big deal. And I'm not going to be shocked that they're going to be angry about it, okay? I'm going to allow them to have their anger, but I'm not going to let it rule what we need to do as a country, okay? So the statue is coming down. So what do we do now? And that's where we need to focus on, that now that this statue is down now, it's not to run around like, ha, your statue got taken down. What is now our history that we honor, okay? What do we put up that we all can agree on that reminds us of who we are now as a country? We were reminded of where we've been through. That's what the statues are for, is to remind you of where we've been through. But now it's time to put up something in the replacement. We got to come to a common ground, you know? And so we got to make them feel just as included, because guess what? This country was founded on white people setting it up. That's that's what happened. We have to admit that to ourselves as black people. You know, that we know that white Anglo-Saxons did come over here and found this country. It wasn't founded by black people. That's the history, and that's not to discredit who we are as a country. Absolutely. White people founded this place. They love it. Black people built this. Black people built this place. Right. They love it. Immigrants saw hope in this place because we built this place up together as a place where we can trade now, and now they want to come here. The common ground is we all love this place. So we need to find something that represents the love in this country from our diverse history, and then honor that.
Statue of a Melting
I think that's an absolute
very good.
I do like that. Yeah. My thing is the whole founding. They stole it. They didn't found it.
Well, they did steal it, but it came from an idea. You know, it came from an idea.
Well, I think that speaks to the point that I've often made about how white people in this country are the default. Right. They are the default. Whenever you think about anything, you think about what's normal, what's common. And white people in this country are what's normal and what's common. And everything else has to fall in line with that. Right. And if you're not a white person in this country, doesn't make it a bad thing, you know, unless you're one of the white people that don't want you to be anything but white. And that's not taking a shot at white folk. Some of y'all are really cool, and some of y'all are kind of fucked up.
2 F-bombs in one show.
That's some real talk. That's not to say that black folk don't got some issues, because some of us is messed up too. Do. You know what I mean? I'm not taking a shot at y'all, but when you listen to Ain't No Hashtag with Marcus J, you're going to listen to socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor. We're not going to run from the race discussion. Nope. We're not going to run from religion. We're not going to run from homosexuality, transgender, and none of that shit. Nothing. We ain't running from none of that. We're gonna have the conversation, and we're gonna speak. We're gonna speak on it fairly and honestly. And the reality is, white people are the default in this country. They just are. And not only are white folk the default. Now here goes something that's gonna be even more controversial than Marcus J dropping the F-bomb twice. But here's what I'm gonna say that's even more controversial than that. Not only is white people the default in this country, but white male Christians are the default in this country. So if you're not a white male Christian, once we start moving away from white male Christian, then we start talking about how your discrimination goes. So let's talk about it. White male Christian, right? You great. White female Christian, you pretty good. Black male Christian. What? All right. Female black Christian. Black male anything but Christian? Oh, hell no. Right. Female black anything but Christian? Oh, no. So this is what we need to talk about. This is what we need to debate, because unless we acknowledge it, unless we face it, and we realize that there's certain levels of discrimination that's going to go with anybody that is not the default. And you can talk about not just race. You can just talk about all kinds of areas of your life. If you're not the norm, you're looked at as different. And different sometimes is not good. It's not great. So until we face that, until we acknowledge that, and until we start checking folks who have issues with that, we're going to continue bringing up conversations about white folk in Charlottesville, Virginia, who are pissed off that the Confederate leader who died over 150 years ago, whose damn monument got took down, and they like, oh, hell no, we got to leave that monument up of the dude who was the leader of the resistance against black folk in this freaking country. Confederate flag. Oh, it's about heritage. No, it ain't got nothing to do with race. It's about heritage. Oh, hell no. It's about the fact that white folk in 1865 wanted to keep their shit in order. And if you wasn't a white male, because white women, come on now, they ain't like y'all either. If you wasn't a white male in this country, you were different. You were not the default. That's what the Confederate flag is all about. And these people in 2017 are protesting the taking down of a monument of somebody who didn't want nobody but white males to prosper in this country. Think about that for a second. And the visual of these people with pitchforks and burning staffs in 2017. And we supposed to walk around like we don't see that shit. And the mayor of the town who stands up and says, this is crazy. Y'all look like the KKK out here. And the next day, he's getting death threats. America. Freaking America. Ain't no have step Marcus J. Live from the dead. Legacy in that radio. Jay Grizzly.
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, first thing I want to say is I don't know any group of people who celebrate losing. Like, if this supposed to be America, you know, land of the free, home of the brave, we about winners. Like Mike Singletary say, I want winners. I don't want losers. You lost. You lost the war. That's just the way it go. And when you lose a war, you got winners and you got losers. And they still holding on to this 150 years ago, 150 some odd years later. I mean, we live in Richmond. And this debate that's been happening in Charlottesville, or this event that happened in New Orleans this week or a couple weeks ago as well.
New Orleans, same thing.
It's going to creep right on up in in the town that we currently are sitting in, Richmond, Virginia, because we got a whole 2 miles of street devoted to these cats that lost. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it from a standpoint of they're holding on to their heritage. And honestly, it is a teachable thing for generations after us. Because, you know, but that's what history books are for, and that's what teachers are for, and that's what, you know, you can do the knowledge and learn. You don't need no statue to know that they want you to be, you know, picking cotton for the rest of your. No, I ain't need no statue for that. So, you know, that's one of the things that confounds me. And I'll wrap this up. Can I say the C word on here?
Nope.
Because I was about to say, in the words of my man Chris Rock,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I will pass it along. Go ahead.
I'm already going to punish myself for dropping the F-bomb twice. Miss Tony, what you got?
You are.
No, just, you know, kind of with the theme of this being a teachable moment too. Like, we can't use this. This can't be a deterrent. So we have to keep on pushing toward the goal. You know, they're going to be ignorant people on both sides. You know, if somebody took down a Martin Luther King statue, it's going to be some ignorant black people coming out, you know, wanting to fight people and hurt people.
We
and break
rioted
things
for like 2 weeks when they killed Dr. King.
So, you know, those things are going to happen because those people are there. Like, not everybody wants to see peace and unity and, you know, just love. Like, it's okay to be diverse. Like, I love diversity. I embrace diversity, but not everybody does. We need to recognize it. And if you can't embrace it, at least acknowledge it and then move towards the goal that we need to have. And that's existing together peacefully and acknowledging one another's strengths, regardless of our sex or gender now. What is it? Gender.
I'm just coming around to that because I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I clicked on something by mistake the other day.
I don't even know. I don't even want to know.
Do it.
But yeah, I mean, we just got to stay focused. We got to stay focused and not let this be a deterrent. These are going to pop up all over the place.
And let them know that change doesn't mean that it discredits anything that has happened in our history. This is just a change now. Like, my question is, you know, for people, like, do you really think that you are losing something here, or is America really changing? And that's where we have to look at, like, hey, we've talked about these statues coming down for years. When they first went up, the reason why they went up was to remind us in a public setting of what has happened. We don't need that anymore. And then we do have to give some type of respect, because to get respect is to give it. And so, put it in a museum.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. live from the den. Legacy Internet Radio. We can talk about that forever. But one last quick thing I want to get in before we get out of this segment is Tom Brokaw. Tom Brokaw was the host of the NBC Evening News for many, many years. And he has one thing that I've learned about journalists, as a trained journalist from Virginia Union University in 1996, I found that we're trained to speak our truth, not necessarily our opinion, but our truth. When you have a show like Ain't No Half Step Marks, Jay, you are given a little bit of latitude to say what the hell you want. But when you're on a network, when you're tasked with giving the news, you may not be allowed to give your opinion until you leave. Once you leave, then you can tell all the secrets, which is what Tom Brokaw has been doing. Tom Brokaw was being interviewed on Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough, and he asked him questions about President Trump's handling of the firing of FBI Director James Comey in the investigation about his administration in general. We know that all went on last week, and frankly, we don't have the kind of time to really analyze all that the way we normally would. I want to talk more about the comments that Tom Brokaw made and how we all feel about that. But we haven't even really begun the investigation in an earnest and public way, is what Scarborough said. And then Tom Brokaw replied, "This is the beginning to be extraordinarily important political moment in the life of this country and the presidency, about how a man conducts himself as the chief executive." Brokaw said, if former President Barack Obama behaved the same way as President Trump at this point, there would be a, quote, conflagration by conservatives and conservative media. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, when I heard that quote, my immediate reaction is, what the hell does conflagration mean?
It would have been.
And so I went and looked up conflagration, because I ain't know. Conflagration. See, I can't even say shit right. I ain't know what the hell that shit meant. I was like, what the hell is that? And so, I was saying congregation. You talking about people at church? What the hell you talking about? So I went and looked it up. And it says,
you looked it up, though.
Conflagration. Say it, Grizzy.
I don't know now.
Conflagration.
Yeah, it's just starting up to war.
Tom Brokaw is smarter than all of us together, which basically means an extensive fire that it destroys a great deal of land and property. So let's say it in context. Brokaw said if former President Barack Obama behaved the same way as President Trump at this point, there would be a conflagration of conservatives and conservative media. Translation, an extensive fire that destroys a great... Them people would have acted a damn fool.
They had pitchforks and torches.
And before I go further, can you imagine a black male president of the United States that got 3 ex-wives and three baby mamas and 5 kids? That's grabbing women by the private parts and whatnot and all that type of stuff. And you get these people who support him that look you in the face and tell you that you're wrong for saying there's something wrong with that. Well, having said all of that, he says, quote, think if Barack Obama was behaving like this at this point about how the fire would be on out there, conservative media, it would be enormous uprising. A conflagration, if you will, is what he continued. So we said enough. I've said this on this show and in social media many times. And if I showed y'all the shit they come with me on social media, how they send me hate mail, they say shit about my family and they want to come for me and all of this stuff. You know what I mean? If I showed you some of this stuff, you would want to give me hugs. I don't want to touch y'all. All I'm saying is, Grizz, jump in here.
Let me get it straight.
Jump in here, man, because I get frustrated.
Let me get it straight. First of all, the supporters...
Damn it.
The supporters of the so-called president now, just picking off of the Brokaw thing, like these ones that would be protesting if Barack Obama did the same thing, like they're so it's so blatant and so obvious and so it's just so obvious that like they don't care. Like if Trump is in the Oval Office right now, and he got there by the supporters that Electoral College voted for him, you know, they don't care what he do. He had Russians sitting in the Oval Office, sitting in the president's chair, taking pictures, styling on him. They don't care. They got people. You know, I'll never forget the day after the election, my son coming downstairs and saying, "What does this mean? You know, what is this going to mean?" And then the next day you cut on the Today Show or the morning shows after the election, and kids are getting, you know, kids of color are getting bullied in school and threatened with bodily harm and stuff like that. White boys and white girls out there feeling bold, calling out the N-bomb to people and calling out immigrants and Hispanics out of their name. Like, they don't care. And the reason they don't care is they feel like this is, I honestly feel that Trump got in the office as a backlash to Barack being in office, because the same people that voted for Barack Obama to be the 44th president of the United States didn't show out in this election for Hillary Clinton or whoever was going up against Trump. But Trump knew that there was going to be a backlash against that, so all he did was just seep down into the hatred of, I'm not going to say the C word, but to people, to white people who felt like, holy shit, my country being taken away. They done voted a black man president, and they got a black woman as a first lady, and she trying to make all our kids eat healthy. They don't like that shit. It could have been Sim Salabim, and it could have been anybody that was non-white in that office.
They would have felt that way.
And you could have fast forwarded 8 years later, there was going to be a backlash against it. So when people sit here and say, you know, like what Tom Brokaw, getting back to the article, like, it's obvious they don't care. They're willing to let the country go to hell, all because they mad because we voted a black man to be president. And we got a long way to go, folks. We got a lot of work to do.
Right?
Okay, so I disagree. He's not going to make it. I don't think he's going to make it to the end of the year, because he is, and I said it several times last year that he wasn't going to get elected, and America surprised me. But that was because a lot of people did not vote. However, he is not going to make it because he has totally gone off. He was off the rails before he got in the seat.
They're crazy.
But he's totally off the rails, and they're not, and I'll say as in the GOP, they're not going to let him totally run this country into the ground and get, you know, nuked by everybody that has been holding in, you know, over the past 20 years. So, you know, the fact that Tom Brokaw came out and say this doesn't surprise me, because like you said, as a journalist, he has to basically say what he's allowed to say on the networks. But it's true, you know, or not even President Barack Obama, any other president had have done these things, he would have been out. So it's just because of all the, you know, praise Donald Trump was going to make America great again. And I've said it before, his supporters have been quiet.
But where you lose me in that, Tony, is you said that it almost seems like only Donald Trump could get away with saying these things. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of, quite frankly, there's a lot of asshole politicians that say crazy stuff. And so what's special about Donald Trump? Now, part of me agrees with you singling him out, but I'm not sure I follow you in the logic with why you singled him out. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Because of his, like, I look at it this way, like, he's a civilian. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not a part of, like, the government. He hadn't served in the military. Like, he's not a part of that crew. He doesn't know the rules. So he's not held to the same standards as his, I can't even say his colleagues or his peers, because he hasn't had that training and experience. Right. So that's the difference to me, is that he is a man off the streets, is a businessman who has made a lot of money. And so they're not going to hold him to the same standards as they would,
That's
a
really-
senator or, one of the congressmen. So
That's really all it is.
Donald Trump is Donald Trump.
That's
Right.
really,
He is the one person. When you think about it, you always say, like, you could grow up to be president. Like, Donald Trump is the one person that has done everything. He has gone from building business to grabbing pussy to, like, I'm just saying that he said it. I said it. I got one. I can say it. So look.
Hey, look, a girl said
Look,
that word.
if he can say it,
I love a
I
girl.
can say it now.
I love it when a girl
that's-
says that
we're,
word.
We're at that point in our country when we thought that our social institutions were not going to be challenged. They are being challenged like never before. Never before that we thought we would have a president that would actually introduce a travel ban. Didn't work. First time you tried to pull some healthcare stuff, didn't work. So right now we are seeing the test of our government. We've never been tested like this before. And guess what? We did have a black president that came before and told us to hold on to hope. And we're seeing that it's not working. Will he be able to survive? He's going to do a heck of a lot, because I don't know how you fire an FBI director, then threaten tapes. I'm like, you're threatening tapes with an FBI director? That doesn't make sense. But Trump can
But
do
you know
anything.
what, though? People,
Trump can
you
do
know what I
anything.
found? I found that, again, more controversy. And when I go there, I always want to look right at the camera when I go here, right? I honestly believe that the average black folk, black people scared of white people. They just are, because they're the default. And so you're worrying about what's going to happen to your life and your livelihood if you cross white people. But you know what? White people scared of some white people too. And you can tell by how people are reacting and conducting themselves around Donald Trump. They scared of this dude. And I don't really know why. I'm not sure why. Because they're
messing it up for
listening
them.
to him, watching him lie and watching him bully and all of that stuff. And me being a kid that was bullied in the neighborhood as a kid, shit, I got bullied by my older brother. I punched him in his mouth. He quit bullying me. Like, real talk. I got a scar on my knuckle that I can show you.
That's when I get
And
you.
he'll tell you, because he's an honest man. But the reality is, people are afraid of this dude. And I don't understand why, because there's more stuff that, if it's uncovered, that's on him, because you can see the smoke, you can smell it, and you know it's there, that all you got to do is keep picking, and it's going to come out. I just got to know what it is, man. Donald Trump got naked pictures on everybody
You
or
do
something.
know. You know.
I mean, like, for real.
You've said it. You know exactly why. He is a bully. He speaks like a
But
bully.
you know
He
what, though? There's
behaves
enough
like a
bully. There's
bully.
enough bullies in Washington for them to punch this
Not
dude in
like
his mouth.
this,
For real.
though.
Like,
we
for real.
have never had a president act like such an ass.
Yeah, but I mean, a president.
Like,
no, of course not.
Like,
But-
you know how the Obamas used to get on the answer questions for you at the White House. I think it was like maybe a Tuesday or a Thursday, something like that, where they have question answer. This jackass doesn't even use anything like that. He goes straight to Twitter and start acting like an idiot.
Yeah.
He's like a freaking, what do you call it? Internet bully? What do we call him?
Yeah,
He's a
keyboard
troll. He's a
thug.
troll.
That's all he does.
Troll, keyboard thug.
A keyboard thug.
But my question is,
that's what he does.
Who teaches you the lesson? Are it the good people that teach you the lesson, or is it the bad people?
Oh no, it's a
So,
little
like,
bit of both. But the
yeah,
the bad ones really teach you how to
It
look
really
out for the
challenges
bad
you
ones.
We got-
to find your restraint, and that's where we as a nation is really challenging us to say, he's making us challenge some tough questions. How are we going to treat people?
Nah,
But
you
I
can
think
do
they
that.
need to hurry
but I
up
think
and
they're going to
he's
make
showing an
him.
example.
I think they are pushing him to the point where he crashes and burns forever, so that when he hits the bottom, he is done.
He said he could do
He
it.
is going to be done.
I thought last year too. I kept saying he ain't gonna run. He's not gonna keep this up. He's gonna drop out soon. Blah blah blah. Because he kept saying I could say anything to you.
Yeah, he
and
said,
you'll
I
go
can
right
get,
ahead.
I can shoot
and you'll
somebody.
vote for me.
I can shoot you in Times Square. You'll still vote for me.
And the dumbasses did.
Yeah.
Your
They-
dumbasses are suffering. Now you gotta make me go along for the ride with you.
And investigating deeper how these relationships got formed with him and Steve Bannon, who's from Richmond, Virginia. If you don't know that, Steve Bannon is from Richmond, Virginia. Pay attention to how they met up. Pay attention to all the players in the game right now and what really happened. I don't think this was all his idea. I think he got caught up. But we already see that this is not going to happen, because around the world, the other elections that are going on, the strong men versus the diplomatic people, we see this. This is not just happening in America.
Macron
And you know,
won.
half stepping with Marcus J live from the Dan Legacy Internet Radio. I'm gonna close out the segment with some couple hits from our family on Facebook Live. Our sister Kaz is still listening. I'm going to get her comment in because she's got the comment of the segment. Hakeem says, never thought of it that way. Jay Grizz was dead on with the winner-loser perspective. Kaz, like, real talk, this might be the comment of the night. She says, nah, I said it. People fear what they don't understand and hate what they can't conquer. The theory of man. Say word.
That's my baby. Go, baby girl.
Yeah, you can hate me now, but I won't stop now because I can't stop now.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go.
Well, that's the song, and it's some real shit. And so I appreciate her saying that because it really, really speaks to the segment. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We're going to take another break, and when we come back on the other side, we are going to have the number one true fighter in America, our brother Warren Ballantyne, is going to talk to us about what Jeff Sessions said last week about the prosecutors basically prosecuting to the full extent of the law. We're going to talk about the right or the privilege of health care. And we're also going to talk about HBCUs and who is a part of it and what kind of establishment can we make where we can all be a part of an initiative that we're working on, a podcast that he and I are working on together. Looking forward to sharing that with you. I got Big Sis. I've got Miss Tony. I've got our sister Mara. I've got Jay Grizzy Green. And I guess I'm here too. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. Be back in a few, y'all. Stay with us.
What C word was I going to use?
Yo, it's Big Rube. Legacy Internet Radio. You know what I'm rocking with. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. Check us out. www.legacyinternetradio.com. Of course, as you know, independence is the key to building your legacy. It's Big Rube. You better be listening. Bout.
What up, everybody? It's your girl, Jody Smith, JMM, Jody Music Mixtape. It's a classic. Get at my dude, Marcus J, on Legacy Internet Radio. Ain't no half-stepping. Get your own JMM mixtape. Hit me up. Jody Smith on Facebook, Jody Music, Jody Music, or you can hit me up on Instagram or Twitter. They're both Jody_804. Get at me on YouTube. That's Jody the Artist. Check out some of my footage, some of my videos. You can listen in on SoundCloud, Jody Smith Music, or just give me a call at 1-262-JODY-804. That's 1-262-JODY-804.